Live. Going live. It says we are live. It says we are live. We must be live. As far as I see, we are live.
It's possible. I don't see us yet.
I don't see us either, but it says we are live. I see us. We are live. We are live. All right, it's happening. It's happening.
I don't see us. Oh,
I see us.
Oh yeah, I see myself and you.
Sound control. Sound control. Check.
Check, guys. Hey guys, there aren't really volume controls on here, so tell us if our audio levels are comparable to one another. So go ahead and make some.
If David is louder than me, which usually happens, just let me know so we can adjust things if we are evenly. Yeah. People say it's okay. Okay.
You gotta say check. You gotta say check.
Check. Okay.
You got all kinds of checks. Everyone seems to say our volume levels are fine, so I think we're good to go.
Okay. That was pretty good. All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet together with David Wood. When it comes to Muslim apologetics and bringing the good sides of Islam to you, there are no bigger names than David Wood and Apostate Prophet. We are both here, and
crap! I just drank out of Anthony's water bottle. Anthony left his water bottle here from when we were live yesterday. I realized I have my own water bottle over here. Anyway, all right, go ahead.
Okay.
I hope he doesn't have coronavirus or some crap.
I hope not. Or coronavirus, as people say.
Coronavirus.
Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing? We want to talk about our differences today, but also about everything that we have in common and all that stuff. David, what are we planning?
You mean for after we reach some cool milestones here very soon?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do a debate.
Yeah. What debate is it?
Yeah, you were talking all kinds of trash the last time we went live, and you're like, and I would school William Lane Craig, and I would school him on the moral argument. I would school all these Christians, and I was like, hey, I am a Christian. I'm a Christian. I debate. So anyway, we'll probably post a separate announcement, just like a short 1-minute video of us making the announcement. But both our channels are about to reach some milestones. The Apostate Prophet is in, I'm guessing, a few weeks or something like that, going to reach about 200,000 subscribers.
Yep.
200,000 subscribers after only a couple of years. So that's really, really quick. And after starting over 10 years ago, I'm about to reach 100 million views. So we're about to hit these awesome channel milestones. And so we wanted to do something a little different. So thought it'd be a cool idea to have a debate. But we can't really debate Islam because everything we say is absolutely correct. So there's nothing to debate there. So we're going to debate something else. So we're going to debate something between atheists and theists, something along the lines. We'll have to figure out the wording and stuff like that, but something along the lines of like the moral argument and how atheism and theism sort of account for moral values and things like that. So something along those lines. But we were chatting after our last live stream. And we noted that we're both YouTubers. We both like to make videos. We both like to put a lot of work into our videos. Spend days. Sometimes there's been times when I've spent weeks working on a video. Not like all day every day for weeks, but I'll just go on working on it. In fact, gosh, there have been videos where I spent years working on a video. Again, not all the time, but start formulating an idea, jotting notes down. A couple months later, I come up with more ideas and stuff like that. Anyway, we were thinking we'd kind of do it that way. So instead of just being live like this and having a debate, that I would make a video as my opening statement, but I can kind of make it however I want. It's going to be time limits, right? Like whatever it is, 20 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever. It's going to be time limits, and I get to make a video that long, but can kind of, make it, use graphics, all that stuff, show video clips from people, however we want to do it. And then AP, for his opening statement, he does the same thing. And then for my rebuttal, which would be a few days later, right? So we could have like, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, whatever we need in between, especially, if we're doing other, because we don't want to stop making our regular videos. So, but basically we'll be doing it like that. So I'll come out with my opening statement, then he'll have a certain amount of time to post his opening statement. Then after he posts his, and I'll have a certain amount of time to post my first rebuttal. And then after that, he'll have a certain amount of time to post his rebuttal and stuff like that. And we'll just kind of keep going back and forth, and might take like 2 months to complete the debate. But once that debate is there, then we've kind of got a full debate by YouTubers who just, with every word there can't be any excuses. Every word is going to be exactly the way we want it. And so it'll be, should be pretty tight. Should be interesting.
Exactly. So Bento Fernandez basically said here, brother AP, I understand you left Islam to be an atheist. After researching proof against Islam, would you consider becoming a Christian if you were offered proof for Christianity? So that is basically something that we that goes into the direction of what we want to discuss, of what we want to debate respectfully between a Christian and an atheist. We thought about what we could debate. We thought about debating the whole God issue, and then we decided to come to the morality story, because it came up during the last live chat on David's channel very much. People asked that. I gave some responses. People further asked questions about that, and I don't know. We thought it would be a great idea. I was totally bashing Christians there, and then I didn't realize all the time that David is a Christian too, and he got me. So I don't know what we're gonna. I don't know how we're gonna handle it. He said he's going to destroy me. I personally think I'm going to destroy him. Yeah,
he's going to be the apostate from atheism after we're done.
You know what the funny thing is? I was earlier. I posted a few things, like on Twitter. I said today I'm going to destroy David Wood, and then and then these Muslims came in. These Muslim apologists. these Muslim apologists came in and were like, "Hey, wait! I thought you two were friends." They suddenly started taking it seriously and started spreading this that we are apparently having a disagreement, and they're so happy about it. One moment they don't care about you and about me at all. We are completely irrelevant, and our criticism of Islam is no problem at all. But then they wait for this moment that we do have a fight.
Yeah, that's kind of the Muslim apologists' dream, right? Is that we'll all start attacking each other, and then we'll just forget about Muhammad. Look, guys, we're going to have a debate, David Wood versus the apostate prophet. It's going to be fun. We're going to have fun, but under no circumstances are we going to stop blasting away at Muhammad and the Quran. So get that out of your little fantasies right there. Habibi keeps saying, will it be a public debate? I don't know if you missed what we said earlier, Habibi, but we're gonna make a debate as videos. So instead of us standing on stage or us being live here online, we're gonna post video. So I'll post my opening statement as a video, right? In other words, I'll record my video right here. I'll record however long we agree on. That's my opening. And then he'll record his opening. He'll post that, and then I'll record a separate video as my rebuttal and stuff. We're going to keep going back, and so there's going to be days in between those and stuff. But so that's why we said it might take like 2 months or something like that. But then we'll have a debate that's, it'll be kind of cool because it's more in line with what we do here on YouTube. We make dope videos. That's what David Wood and the Apostate Prophet do. We make dope videos. So why not use our dope video making skills in a debate?
Absolutely. Someone said, wait, greetings AP and David. And someone said, Win City Kingdom said David Wood will win. That's your opinion. I respect your opinion.
No, that's a fact.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Anyway, so that's what the situation will look like. David and I are going to have a debate. So for all those who missed it, it will be a back and forth. We'll post videos. He'll make an opening. I'll make an opening statement. Then we'll make responses to each other over quite a time. It will be great. It will be awesome. It will be very, very detailed, very nice, very friendly. I don't know. It's a thing. We should do we should make this a thing, that you and I have debates. We could turn this into further debates about the same issue, about God and morality.
Because I mean, you could always do. I'm sure once we start doing this, I'm sure other people are going to want to get in as well, right? Especially other YouTubers who make videos like us, going to be like, oh, I'd like to have a debate in that kind of format. But something cool that I was thinking of is you could kind of have a system of like interchangeable parts. And what I mean by that is like, suppose a Christian comes on afterwards and says, man, David sucks. He gave a lame argument. I've got a better response than he did. Then you can always say, okay, then I'll have a debate with you. You've already got my opening statement, right? You could tell him, hey, I've already posted my opening statement. And in other words, your opening statement for me, you can reuse that and say, hey, if you got a better response, then respond to the opening statement I posted. And if you decide to debate some other person. In other words, my plan is like to get my opening statement exactly, get everything I actually think on the topic into that one opening statement. And then so we're going to have an entire debate going back and forth. But if anyone else wants to reply to it, the video's there, the video's posted. So go ahead and make a response. And, if I'm interested in someone else's ideas, can follow along with that. So, yep, should be cool. Little side note here. Bruce IDW said, if you have to apologize for something, that means it's bad. What's with David being a proud Christian? Acts 17 apologist. I don't know if you're joking, Bruce, because you don't know much, but apologetics and apologists have nothing to do at all with apologizing. It comes from the ancient Greek word apologia, and apologia was a defense speech in court. So if accusations were brought against you, your apologia was your defense of your actions to show that your position was correct and just. And so it has nothing to do with apologizing. If you read Plato's Apology, which is the apology of Socrates, what is that? It's Socrates giving his defense of his actions in Athens. And if you look at it, Socrates does not apologize. There's no apologizing. He enrages them and they sentence him to death. Well, first they find him guilty. And then they ask him, well, what should your penalty be? And he basically says, I should get free meals for life. And so this enrages them even more, and they sentence him to death. So there's this has nothing to do with apologizing. It's again, apologia. It means a rational defense to show that reason is on your side in this case. So that's what apologetics is. Now, so if you're criticizing a Christian apologist, it should be, your apologetics is bad, or your defense is bad, or you're stupid, or you haven't thought about something like that. But it shouldn't be an attack on the word apologetics.
That is true. People keep saying David will win, but and that's just wrong. Wait, I was gonna respond to something here. What was that? If you see anything, feel free to go into that.
Oh, there's a question for you, but it's kind of about me, that article. Apu Bakr al Puff Daddy said, hey AP, did you see that London jihadi who said that David Wood is totally correct about Islam?
Oh yeah, I did. I saw your video. I saw the video that you made.
And I didn't include. He also talked about Robert Spencer and Tommy Robinson, and then someone else as well. And so.
Oh, it might have not been clear. Hindu historian said, "Sorry, what's the debate topic?" The topic is morality. It is the origin of morality and what morality is about. If morality is subjective or objective, where we get our morals from, if morals come from a higher being like God or not, because we have radically different perspectives on the whole issue, and that is what we are going to discuss in this debate. That's what the debate will be about, basically. So it will kind of lean on the whole God issue too. It will not directly be a debate about whether God exists or not, but rather about whether the origin of morality is God or something else.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the precise wording to sort of encompass all of that in as short a title as we can come up with.
Yeah, it could be just morality or the origin of morality. I don't know.
Morality, or morality. atheism versus theism, or we'll have to. We might want to look up some other debates that have happened along the same lines, and then see how they worded their topics, and see what we come up with. By the way, guys, if you have any suggestions for the way to title it, let us know. Send us post it in the comments, in the chat, or if you think about it, you post in the comments later. Check it out.
If you have any suggestions about the whole debate thing altogether, just feel free to make them. I think it would we could always go ahead and after that go into debating a larger topic like God as well. But
we'll see. I mean, it's kind of experimental. If people really like it and people really, people on both sides are really interested in it, then we can keep them coming.
Yeah, I acknowledge that David might be a little bit scared of that whole topic, of debating that whole topic with me. But once we start, we'll keep going somewhere. Yeah. AAST said, AP, I want to see you debate Cenk Uygur. Why would I debate Cenk Uygur? the guy is actually it would be fun to sit in front of him, just talk to him a little bit about numerous things that he said about Islam, about atheism, about the genocide, the Armenian genocide.
He's like the perfect example of like someone who's has no clue what he's talking about when he talks about Islam, and just being like a perfect representative of his sort of political ideology whenever they deal with this topic.
The thing is, I don't want to bash anyone here. I don't want to attack and target and specific individuals. But I don't know. He just has a network that consists of attacking people for their ideologies and what they believe and what they stand for, what they say, and all that stuff. And I don't know, when I look at that, I myself am not a conservative by any means, and I'm not. I would put myself on a very much on a more liberal side of the political spectrum. But when I look at the platform of Cenk Uygur and his kind, then I think if this is really what they have to offer, if this is really what represents them in public, then wow, that's very poor. That's very, very poor, man. That's all I want to say about this issue. So I see a few people here in the live chat talk about how a certain individual called Farid made refutation videos about me, and they have been here since much earlier in the day, because I announced that we will talk about having a possible debate, and they are so much interested in seeing us have a disagreement. So some people mentioned that this Farid refuted me and all that stuff. So
yeah, I somehow saw. I don't even remember who sent it to me, but they sent me like a short clip of him. I thought it was pretty bad, and we might have to address that a little more, because I mean, if that's how lame the responses are, then you might want to. And they're responding to it and feeling obliged to post responses to it. Must mean it's kind of a sensitive issue, right? If anyone understand the significance of the issue, right? Here's the significance of the issue. Muhammad, according to the Quran, his only miracle is the Quran. He's challenged over and over and over again. Why can't you produce miracles like the prophets who came before you? And the response is, no, he's only a warner. He's only this. He's only that. And well, he came with the Quran, didn't he? But Muslims, because you have tons of miracle claims in the Hadith, which come from 2 centuries later, and it's obvious where these come from, right? And in that 2 century gap, Muslims keep running into Jews and Christians, and the Jews and Christians keep going, hey, where's the miracles? Where are the miracles? And so, Muslims start coming back with, oh, here we go. Fresh ink on this, but yeah, we've got our miracle stories too. And so anyway, but yeah, so the response is, yeah, but the Quran claims that the Quran isn't Muhammad's only miracle. And so what do you do about that? And so Muslims have to try and find miracles in the Quran, and there are only a couple things I can point to. They can argue for the night journey, but the main thing they go with is that Muhammad split the moon. right? He split it. It's a big miracle, and they have to base this on a passage. It doesn't say anything about Muhammad doing anything, right? It just says the moon is cleft asunder, right? And so you see, that's it. So they kind of need that in order to defend their claim that Muhammad was miraculous.
Yeah. So I was recently researching the whole moon splitting issue again. I made a video about the moon splitting claim, the moon splitting miracle, here on this channel about 2 years ago, or over a year ago at least. It was quite a while ago, whatever. And recently I sat down and started writing stuff in Turkish about the same topic, because I'm planning on releasing a video in Turkish about the moon splitting. So I was going through everything again, going through all my arguments. And one of the main arguments that I make was if the moon had split in two in Muhammad's lifetime in the 7th century, then this moon splitting, at the same time when it's observed in Mecca, the moon being split in two would have also been seen in Europe, in Africa, in India, in Persia, in China, in Japan, and many other places. And people would definitely, one of those great civilizations would definitely make a note of that. They would know that. People would observe that. People would write that down. And we would know by now that in the 7th century, for some reason, somehow the moon split in two and came together again. It is just impossible. I mean, no sane person could say that that the moon splitting took place, and no one in the world saw that. We're talking about civilizations. In the 7th century, Arabia was very backward. They had nothing. They were just desert dwellers who were afraid of jinns at night. At the same time, the Europeans were very advanced. The Byzantine Romans were very advanced. They had records. They had historians. They were looking at the sky, at the objects. In India, astronomy was very advanced at that time. It was advanced. People were every night and day. There were people who would observe the sky and see what is happening to the moon and the stars and all that stuff. At the same time, in China and Japan, a lot of writings and science and buildings and religious scripture and all that stuff was going on. So the world was pretty advanced. Something like that would have never gone unnoticed. Yeah. So in that old video that I made, I pointed out that that is the reason why the moon splitting cannot be true, because it would have definitely been recorded. Now I want to share something with you. I want to share a piece of a clip with you, which is from this individual called Farid. I just thought it because I saw that someone actually made a meme about it. They found it so ridiculous, and I can't believe that I actually missed this. I went to his video in which he's trying to refute my moon splitting, and look what I found. Look what his argument is. Give me a second. Let me share this. All right. Oh, wait. Share audio. Here. Okay, now. The moon would have been visible in these areas. Or late at night, towards the morning, in these areas. You would expect that the Persians and the Romans, in this time the Byzantines, would document such a miracle, because both of them, especially the Romans, kept records strictly of pretty much everything.
There's another issue with the advanced assumption here. One of the reasons why we do not have heaps of documented evidence was because most people were asleep at night. Remember, this is the 7th century. More importantly, there is no reason to assume that the split occurred for a long duration of time. So even if one was awake at the time, it is not likely that one would have noticed the moon splitting.
Okay. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
The reason we don't have any secondary sources. Wait, let me show that again. Okay, I have to show you this again. Oh my god. Let me know if you can hear it. The moon would have been, especially the records strictly of pretty much everything.
There's another issue with an advanced assumption here. One of the reasons why we do not have heaps of documented evidence was because most people were asleep at night. Remember, this is the 7th century. More importantly, there is no reason to assume that the split occurred for a long duration of time. So even if one was awake at the time, it is not likely that one would have noticed the moon splitting.
Am I the only one who thinks this is one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard?
He's got a point. Most people would be asleep. I mean, come on, you can't deny that. People sleep at night. Come on.
Okay. So the the argument here is we don't have any secondary reports of the moon splitting in two in the 7th century because it happened at night, because people were sleeping. People were sleeping. They didn't see that because people were asleep. They were tired. It was night. The moon splitting happened at night, of course. That it happens at night because that's when the moon is out.
Fareed destroys the apostate prophet. No, guys, yeah. In case you didn't know, I mean, AP already touched on this. Ancient civilizations of the time, many of them were obsessed with astronomy and on detailing the movements of the stars and things like that, and the moon and all these, getting every comets, all these little details. They always took note of things that were happening because they took these things as like signs and things like that. So they always recorded things like eclipses and everything else. The idea that, they'd be sitting around and the moon splits in half in the sky and just no one in the entire world notices it. And the Quran itself doesn't even draw attention to it. In fact, what you can even read, if you read like the Yusuf Ali translation of the Quran, he points out that there are different interpretations of the verse, even among Muslims. Some regard that as like a warning of the day of judgment. The moon is cleft asunder. So even Muslims don't agree. So it's so unclear, even in the Quran, what it's talking about, that even Muslims don't agree that this is talking about Muhammad splitting the moon. It's not until you get to the Hadith a long time after that they conclude that this is about Muhammad splitting the moon. So yeah, the idea, it's just people at night, they sleep, and so they don't know what's going on in the sky, and a giant dragon could come and just gobble up the moon and no one's going to notice. They're all asleep.
Yeah. So the people at that time, they were all asleep, and so some people saw it. Some in the following seconds of the video, he even claims that some people might have seen it, but they were probably questioned their own sanity, and they didn't want to tell anyone else because no one would believe them that the moon split in two. People believed in all kinds of nonsense at that time.
No, hang on, AP. Just imagine yourself back here, right? If you're sitting there, right, you're one of the people who's up at night, you're the guard, you're on guard in the city and stuff like that. You look up, you see the moon splitting in half. Aren't you going to be like, everyone get up? Look at this. Everyone. Hey, you, look at that. Look, hey, you right there. Could you look up, please? That's going to be my verification. No, guys, they recorded every detail about everything that they saw happening in the skies. They recorded every time Halley's Comet came by. They recorded all these things. They would have been pretty darn freaked out by the moon splitting in half, but no one was. Why? Most obvious explanation is didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen. I mean, look at this. To take a look at this. This is what we see. I mean, the Islamic Hadith even described that the moon was so clear. It was so clear that people clearly observed the moon splitting in two, and its parts moving toward a mountain and the other toward the other mountain. And one Hadith even says they could see the Hira mountain in between the two parts of the moon. That's how clear it was. And imagine you are in different parts of the world. You are in the Sassanid Empire, which is huge, which is advanced, which is currently in its golden age, and is neighboring the Arabs. And you see the Romans, the Eastern Romans, and they look up to such a clear moon. This clear moon is being split in two, but those people don't notice it because they are asleep. Mm-hmm. Because they're asleep, or they think, "Oh, this is not happening. I don't believe this is happening. I'm not gonna tell anyone about this. I'm not gonna write this down either."
I'm getting some bad ideas here now, man. I'm thinking with this little picture right here, right? Send it to some of my buddies who do special effects. Get them to just make a video of that moon splitting in half, right? If I can find, and I don't know who I could possibly find who would be willing to dress up as Muhammad and be Muhammad, but fortunately, the only guy I can think of lives right beside a desert. So we go out to a desert. He's dressed up like Muhammad, and we can have a sort of flashback or an instant replay. Oh man, could do that and then have it in an episode of Muhammad's Boom Boom Room, right? Where he goes, that reminds me of the time I split the moon. And then a flashback to him in the desert going, everyone look up, it's splitting. And then, yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I got it. Thank you, Muslims, for the ideas you give me.
I can you believe this? Can you believe in believing such nonsense and actually thinking? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go into very much into mockery now. I'm just doing this because
I'll do it.
I'm just doing this because this guy Farid, he spent a lot of time insulting me, talking like all kinds of garbage while he was supposed to refute me, which is why I stopped watching his videos. But actually, this guy actually thinks that is a legitimate defense of Islam's miracle claim. I mean, how can you imagine yourself actually thinking that is a legitimate defense and then actually make that a video, make that a part of your refutation video? Yeah. People didn't see it. We don't have any secondary sources because everyone else in the world in the 7th century, which was not very backward at all, astronomy started maybe 1,000 years before that. And no one saw it. Everyone was asleep. It was at night, of course. That's why we don't have any records. How could you possibly think that is a legitimate argument in defense of Islam? That's how desperate Islam is. That's how desperate, how dumb Islamic theology and Islamic beliefs, Islamic scripture is, that people have to resort to such ridiculously stupid arguments in order to defend Islam. Seriously, this is what we and people are bringing up this. If I wanted to go into what this guy says, if I wanted to go into all his arguments, I would sit here, I would mock the hell out of him. I would make so much fun of all of this. When you see one single example of what this does, and people are bringing this guy as a good criticism, as a good analysis of everything I've done before.
Welcome to Islam. And guys, I just have to point out, right? Keep in mind, I'm a Christian. I'm a guy who believes in miracles, right? I believe miracles happen. So my criticism is not, oh, it's just stupid to think that the moon could be, split, stuff like that. God could do that. God could split the moon if he wants. So it's more along the lines of, wait a minute, you've got the Quran. The Quran repeatedly denies that Muhammad could perform miracles. You've got this completely ambiguous verse that even Muslims don't agree on that just says, and the moon has been cleft asunder. Doesn't say anything about Muhammad doing it, Muhammad commanding it, anything like that. And then that verse is revealed. And then there are tons of verses that were revealed after that about people challenging Muhammad to perform a miracle, and Muhammad getting a revelation saying, oh, I'm only a warner. I don't perform miracles. My miracle is the Quran, which it should have. If that were a miracle that had actually occurred, the response should have been, what are you talking about? I split the moon, you giant morons. But it never says that, right? It just goes along assuming that Muhammad performed miracles, like Allah suddenly forgot that he split the moon, right? So, I mean, does Allah have Alzheimer's, or what are you guys trying to tell us about your God? And that combined with, if you're saying it happened in the sky, so just to be clear again, if I believe that miracles occur, if you say, man, I was in my house and I slipped and fell and I broke my arm and I prayed to God, and then, my arm got better. I'd think, okay, well, maybe, I don't know. I guess it could happen. I'm a Christian. The point is, there's no way for me to really test that. So I can't say one way or another. I could say it would fit. It's possible given my worldview, but I can't affirm that. But if you say the sun just disappeared or something like that, or the moon disappeared or Mars disappeared, well, that's something that's kind of publicly testable, right? And so if you're saying the moon split in half, well, that's something that people would have noticed, and they just didn't.
Yeah. Which shows how ridiculous such a belief is. I mean, go ahead, believe that is just a metaphor. Go ahead, believe that it doesn't actually say that the moon was literally split into up there. That didn't happen, except a different explanation to that. The thing is, the problem is they can't, because that narrative is directly according to mainstream Islam, which is followed by more than 80%, 90% of Muslims. The hadiths clearly say that numerous hadith, I think over 5 or so, or I don't know, maybe 10, reaffirm and say that the moon literally split in two. It literally happened, and Muhammad said to the people, "Behold." One of the hadith says that that the Meccan polytheists asked for a miracle to happen. So they said, if you are a prophet of this Almighty Allah that you claim you are, then please show us a miracle. And then Muhammad told them to look at the moon, and the moon was split in two, and he said, "Behold." And then the people were like, "No, this must be magic." The hadith literally say that, and there is no way around to deny that. If you want to deny that hadith, then you would have to deny most practices of your Islamic religion, because that hadith is by Islamic standards completely sahih. If you want to, so authentic, if you want to assert that hadith is somehow wrong and unreliable, then you would have to end up denying the way you pray, denying the way you fast, denying the prayers that you say during the 5 daily prayers, the way people dress and everything. There is so much that you would in the end have to abandon and have to doubt as well. So by Islamic belief, it literally happened, and that is a ridiculously stupid belief. I'm sorry. This should be sufficient enough to debunk Islam, to point out how, to see how wrong Islam is, how it is built on absolutely ridiculous and superstitious claims. It is just plain wrong. It is dumb, and it relies on such apologetics as the one that you've just witnessed.
Revelation 22:13 said, Fareed said he is going to do a video about David Wood.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I mean, I hope the quality is top notch, just like that response AP. Now, I have no idea who Fareed is. As far as I know, that was the only clip I've seen of him. I can't recall ever seeing anything else. But yeah, guys, ask him if he's taking requests. Ask him to reply to my video. Top 5 most disgusting facts about Muhammad. That one, right? I'm actually legitimately interested in hearing Muslim responses to that, right? Like with the issue of Muhammad sucking on kids' tongues, and with Muhammad constantly being covered in semen, and Muhammad having people suck on his fingers and stuff like that, and his explanation, right? And keep in mind, he gives the explanation why, that Allah hides a blessing somewhere on some particle of food, and so you don't want to just wipe your hands on a napkin, because that particle, that blessing particle, might go on the napkin, and then Satan's going to steal it, right? So you have to actually, and then, but yeah, the main one I'm interested in is why Muhammad was always covered in semen, right? Because I can think of possible explanation. The best case scenario that I can imagine is that Muhammad just used his clothes as a rag after having sex, and he just wiped himself with it, and then would go to the mosque. Guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and watch the video. But it would say that Aisha would say, hey, Muhammad, he was going to the mosque, and I would have to jump up and scratch all the semen off him and wash all the semen off him. And then he would go to the mosque, and I would still see more on him and stuff like that. And so why is this guy covered in semen? It's either his semen, in which case, why has he got his own semen all over him? Or it's someone else's semen, in which case, please explain that. But I would love to hear this, because again, best case scenario, he just wipes semen all over it. He wipes his own semen all over himself, and then he goes to the mosque and starts hugging his friends. That is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of in my life. I would love to hear a Muslim respond to that. So tell Fareed that. I want to hear it. And I will actually listen to him. If he has some sort of reasonable defense, I would love to hear it.
So you said you didn't know who Fareed is. Fareed actually made himself known in the public once. There was this one time that he actually attracted a lot of attention for something that he said, and I think the specific thing that he said is a very very astonishing thing that you should maybe see. It landed on YouTube videos, on websites, on Twitter profiles, and all the other stuff. Check the screen. This is how Fareed became known in the public. I love how so many of those Islamophobes don't have the ability to represent me fairly by calling this child rape. How is it child rape when there is parental consent?
So, guys, think about what he's saying right here, right? So, so according to Fareed here, a Muslim man can say, "Hey, yeah, go bang my 9-year-old daughter," and you go in there and do it. She has no clue what's going on. She hasn't consented, but the parent has consented, and so he says, "How is that rape?" This is wild stuff. But this is what you get. This is what you get from this religion. Interesting stuff. This reminds me, by the way, I've been wanting to make a video of this. I haven't gotten to it yet, but in that Yasser Qadi clip where I used it in a video where he was telling Muslims to stop lying about Aisha, claiming that she was older than 9. He said we don't lie for our religion. Obviously, plenty of people disagree with him on that and are glad to lie. But in that same clip, he said something that's along these lines. He said, so it gets brought up, hey, Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl. Isn't that kind of messed up? And his response was, I find it amusing that people would complain about something that Aisha herself did not complain about. And I thought that was so disturbing, but it's like this in terms of you think, oh, this is what this religion does to people's minds, right? This is Yasser Qadi saying, well, since Aisha doesn't complain about it, then therefore it's amusing to him that other people would complain about it. Look, guys, I'm going to tell you, I grew up in a West Virginia trailer park. You'd see women come out and they got black eyes, right? We know where they got the black eyes. They got the black eyes because their husband was beating them and stuff, right? We're little kids. We could tell. You could tell a woman got beat by her husband. But think about it. She didn't complain. She didn't come out complaining. Therefore, notice, to be consistent here, if I were to say to Yasser Qadi, hey, it's messed up that guy punched his wife in the face and gave her a black eye, Yasser Qadi would have to say, I find it amusing that you're complaining about something the woman herself did not complain about. And that's just sick, right? Sometimes women aren't exactly in a position to voice their complaints about things that are happening to them. And you hope that other people do. You hope someone else. I mean, again, we were kids, but you hope someone, you wish someone would go over there and say, hey, stop hitting your wife, or I'm going to make you stop. So you got, so there's that, but notice it's perfectly fine because we don't have Aisha's complaint. Notice that this assumes that we know everything Aisha said. But two, I mean, think about it. What was Aisha? Was it the safest place to come along and say, hey, this guy's a pervert, man? Is that a safe thing to say in 7th century Arabia after the spread of Islam? Guys, there were probably all kinds of complaints that people did not feel safe to voice back then. But even if she was convinced that this is just something I have to put up with, doesn't mean that we can't point to it and say, hey, there's something wrong here. But this is Yasser Qadi, right? This is one of the great Muslim scholars of the world.
We have a lot of stories too of Aisha conspiring against Muhammad with his other wives, complaining. I mean, making complaints directly to him, telling him that it looks like Allah is very quick to satisfy Muhammad's desires and all that stuff. And I heard this same thing too. For some reason, I didn't actually think very much about it. But now that you make the comparison to a beaten wife, it becomes much clearer how disgusting it actually sounds. That so many Muslims and Muslim apologists come out saying, "Well, you are talking about how Muhammad basically, I don't even know how to use the words here in this case, but that he basically violated a child. But who are you to speak? Because Aisha herself was quite happy with it. That's what they say. Aisha herself didn't.
Oh, yeah. Yasser Qadi goes far. This is the video I wanted to make. Yasser Qadi goes even farther. He said it was the perfect marriage.
Perfect marriage.
It was a perfect marriage, right? This 50-some-year-old dude climbing on top of a 9-year-old girl. And all the stuff that she had to go through, and her thinking that she's about to be stoned to death, and her constantly having to compete with his other wives and all this stuff, and he looks at that and he says, it's perfect, it can't be any better. So that's again the shocking part is, I mean, think about this. If when a Muslim says, hey, it's a different culture, we look at that and we say that's really messed up. But if you were raised in that time where it's normal, it's kind of hard to break away. I get that. I understand that different cultures, if you grow up in a culture where, let's say, racism is completely normal, you tend to grow up as a racist, right? And you just think it's totally normal. So I get that. They can't, but they just can't stop there, right? They have to go out and blurt out, it's the perfect marriage, right? They have to say something that's completely ridiculous. Or Yusuf Estes, it's a greater love story than Romeo and Juliet, Muhammad and Aisha. And they always have to exaggerate, right? And they make it easy, right? Because if you had said something like this, hey, it was a different time, it was a rough situation, rough times, Muhammad's in all these wars, and he's trying to establish himself as a prophet, and he got these revelations, and all these things, and said, and with all that said, even though it was, really, really weird by our standards, things worked out, and they had an okay marriage. If he had said that, I'd have been like, okay, I'm not even going to respond to this. But he just can't say that. He has to say perfect marriage. It was the perfect marriage. Gosh, then you got to respond, because now you're just saying something that's completely idiotic.
Yeah. It reminds me of another issue with Farid here, by the way. I was following him for at that time, and he made this tweet in which he shared with his Muslim followers and his Muslim audience a tweet or a story that is supposed to be beautiful. That is supposed to make people kind of feel gooey, feel weird with Muhammad and his story with Aisha. And he shared this story which somehow goes that one day Muhammad was walking with Aisha, and then he walked slower, and he told her, he said something like, let's race. And then they raced together, they ran together. And, Muhammad and Aisha ran together, they raced. So it's a wonderful couple. Muhammad is such a romantic man who plays with his wife. And I thought about how this report, this story, when someone like Farid shares it, is received among Muslim women, for example, who love to hear such stories about Muhammad, how Muhammad was a romantic, emotional man who cared about people, who cared about his wives and all that stuff. In reality, when we look at it in reality, if you think about the details for a second, we are talking about a 55-year-old man, approximately, playing with a 9-year-old girl, running together, racing with a 9-year-old girl. So a 55-year-old man racing with a little child who is 9 years old.
She was probably running from it.
So that is the actual picture. That is the picture you are actually supposed to get if you really think about the details. If you try to work the details through in your mind, the picture that you get is this 55-year-old man running and playing with a 9-year-old girl, and that 9-year-old girl is his wife. At night, in the same night, he will go and he will climb into her bed and will want to have sex with her. That is what you are supposed to get from this actual story. Not that Muhammad was a romantic, wonderful, fantastic
and then
man.
he'll wake up to head to the mosque to lead the prayers, and she's gonna have to stop him and say, "Hey, let me get all the semen off your clothes, because people are gonna see this semen all over your clothes, and it never occurs to you to wash it. Never crosses your mind, hey, I need to wash all this semen off. I mean, but you're my husband, so we got to keep up appearances." So
yeah, that hit me.
Apu Bakr Al Puff Daddy said, "Hey, AP and David Wood, when will your next live stream with Robert Spencer? I hope soon. Yeah, I'm supposed to be on with Robert Spencer this week. So I'm gonna have Robert on. Haven't set a date yet, but whenever Robert's free, given his schedule, I'll be on sometime this week. Oh, and along those lines of creepy hadiths, that's either going to be my video for tomorrow or for Monday. But commenting on the hadith, because the point of the video is kind of just Muhammad always rewrites past figures kind of in his own image, right? So he'll have Jesus coming out of the womb, but Jesus is propounding Islamic theology and things like that. He has Abraham telling the unbelievers, hey, until you agree with me, we're in an eternal state of war, which doesn't sound anything like Abraham, but he's constantly rewriting people like in his own image. But there's these hadiths about Solomon, and it said that Solomon would go around to all 90 of his wives. I mean, go around to 90 of his wives in one night and say that they're all going to become pregnant with a knight who's going to wage jihad for Allah, right? So here you have it on multiple levels, right? He's saying Solomon is trying to raise up this generation of jihadis, right? But that he actually has sex with 90 wives in one night, thinking that they're all going to get pregnant. And then the funny part is, someone who's there says, nope, make sure you say if Allah wills, right? And Solomon doesn't say it. He's too busy boning 90 of his wives. And then so they don't get pregnant except for one of the wives who has a deformed child. So, and then Muhammad said, if he had said if Allah wills, all 90 of those wives would have gotten pregnant that night. So it's assumed that Solomon actually had sex with 90 women in one evening, completed the act with all 90 of them. Now I'm trying to do the math here, right? Let's suppose he started at 6:00 p.m. and then he went straight through till 3:00 in the morning, right? That's about 9 hours. So 90 women in 9 hours, that's about 10 women per hour. That's about one every 6 minutes, right? Start to finish. And then you jump right on to the next one. And Muhammad's telling us, so I mean, Muslims who are watching, do you actually believe that? Do you believe? Because your prophet said it happened. Your prophet said that Solomon had sex till completion with 90 different women all in the same night. My goodness. So, I mean, the reason we bring this up is we think it's completely unbelievable that Muhammad would have sex with 9 women and girls in one night, as we find over and over again in the hadiths. But, I think, okay, it's actually possible as long as he's not actually, going all the way to finish, right? I mean, you could jump on one for 5 minutes and then go on to the next one and then go on to the next one. If you're actually, completing the act with 9 different women, that you're the Superman of sex. So it sounds unbelievable, but with Muhammad, he's saying, no, Solomon did it with 90. So 10 times as many as Muhammad did. And in case there's any doubt, he actually finished the act with each one of them. And so, wow.
Yeah.
And
that's what it looks like.
Just to raise up jihadis. He's trying to raise an army of jihadis.
Okay, let me read some super chats. I completely neglected the super chats here. People made a lot of super chats. Let me come and start reading those. All right, Hindu historian said, made a super chat of $43.99, that's Canadian dollars, and said, I had an item on my Amazon wish list, this amount paid for by a kind anonymous person, so paying it forward. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Hindu historian. We appreciate it. Thank you. You should always attach a question to that. But thank you. That's awesome.
If Hindu historian gets another H in his name, he'll be Triple H, and that'd be cool. Casey, Hindu historian, if you don't know who Triple H is, he's one of the top wrestlers of all time. He went by Triple H.
Yeah, don't do that, Hindu historian. Don't listen to that. Emily A made a super chat and said, AP thought of a video of converts now what does that mean? AP thought of a video of converts now ex-Muslims. I don't know what that means.
I guess, I mean, you've kind of already been making videos, doing live streams with converts who are now ex-Muslims.
Oh,
I don't know.
I think this refers to people who converted and then became ex-Muslims.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't have any of those on yet, but there are quite a few around. I actually have some on my list that I might talk to in the future. That might indeed happen, Emily. But thank you, Emily, for the super chat. Dean Cooper became a prophet, and Dean Cooper has now a prophet head head next to their username and can now post momojis, which look very, very nice. Angelo Adriano made a super chat. Didn't say anything. Thank you so much, Angelo Adriano. I appreciate that. David the Goliath said, David the Goliath made a super chat and said, AP and David, why don't you do call-in show as David used to do? I would love to call you guys. I'm an atheist, but I like David's work against Islam. Take care. Hope Mo fans are not able to hurt you. Did you used to do call-in?
Oh yeah. We used to do a show called Jesus or Muhammad. We actually did that in the studio. But yeah, that was me, Sam Shimon, and Pastor Joseph. Sometimes there'd be other people on with us, or different combinations. But the classic team was me. Pastor Joseph was the host, and then Sam Shimon. And it was a live call-in show, so anyone could just call in. So we'd have Muslim sheikhs and stuff calling in, challenging us, and it was pretty cool show. But yes, David the Goliath, I am planning on doing that. If you go back to my video about the apologetics empire, that's one of the goals, is to build a studio. It doesn't have to be a massive studio. The studio we were doing doing shows in there a while back is something that we could kind of easily do. It's more along the lines of getting a few people who are all in the same area. But looking forward to that. And we kind of did those periodically. We'd get together for like a weekend or something like that, like once or twice a month, and do a bunch of shows that were all just live call-in shows. But yeah, I'd eventually, I don't know if it's going to happen, probably not this year, hopefully next year. I believe it's doable either by the end of this year, maybe, or definitely by next year. It's a good possibility. I'd like to see it live every night, right? Like every night, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, free for all live call-in show, bring your best, and just every night, right? So that, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I will ever have something like that here on this channel. It would be a nice idea. I thought of it quite often. I don't know. I have no such plans as of now. I'm very busy anyways, trying to make videos now in 2 languages. I also have a Turkish channel, by the way, which I have just created, which has started very well. And I'm also studying at the side, so I'm completely full and busy. But thank you, David the Goliath. Thank you so much. And it's always good to be an atheist. Indigo Prime made a super chat. Wrong. Indigo Prime made a super chat and said, David Copperfield, peace be upon him, Statue of Liberty vanish.
Oh yeah. Do you know what that's about? Because you were probably in Germany.
Yeah, David Copperfield made the thing vanish, the Statue of Liberty vanish. I know. I don't know what the thing is referring to.
I think it's about like the miracle, right? Like.
Oh yeah, okay.
That would be a better miracle than the moon splitting, which no one saw, when everyone saw the Statue of Liberty come up missing, even though it wasn't actually a miracle.
Yeah, the thing is, people were asleep, David. It was night.
We're all asleep. Yeah, we didn't see that. We were asleep during that time. So so prove it.
Yeah. People were asleep. They didn't see that, so that's the issue here. But thank you, Indigo Prime, for your contribution. Lisa J, always here. Thank you so much. Made a super chat and said, the video is the moon splitting fairy tale, posted a year ago. Please make me a mod on your channel so I can share links. I'm not an atheist, in case that's a prerequisite. I love you guys. Hi, David. Yeah, you have to be an atheist in order to be a moderator on this channel. I'm just kidding, actually. I'm kidding. I know you very well. You're here all the time, so here, I'll just do that. Thank you so much, Lisa, for your help. Exactly. The video that I made about the moon splitting is called The Moon Splitting Fairy Tale. I'm thinking currently of making a remake of that in order to point out what exactly is wrong with the whole claim that the moon was split into in the 7th century. And but for now, you can find it under The Moon Splitting Fairy Tale. All right. Let's go into the next super chat. Exodus 2:1 V20. I'm being German right now. Made a super chat and said, if the moon split and nobody saw it, did it really split? That's another thing that some Muslims think. That's another issue that some Muslims actually present. I saw this as a defense of Islam's narrative, that this miracle might have been exclusive to the people in Mecca, to the people in Muhammad's surroundings, so that Allah wanted to show them a miracle, which is why He showed them the moon split in two and put together, which is why other people around the world did not see it, because it was only shown to them, which is a very messed up, weird perspective.
Well, that's actually better considering what Islam teaches, right? Because in that case, it's not an actual miracle of the moon splitting; it's a miraculous deception about the moon splitting, right? He's making it look that way, so it's a kind of illusion. But given what we know about Allah, right, that He makes it look like Jesus is crucified, even though Jesus wasn't crucified. And he makes the Muslims think that the Meccan army that's approaching is very small, when actually it was a large army. He keeps tricking and deceiving people into thinking that, you know, that something is happening when it really hasn't. I mean, Abu Bakr said if he had 1 foot in paradise, he would still fear Allah's deception. And so if that's the kind of God you believe in, that actually makes more sense, that Allah wouldn't actually split the moon. That's not Allah's style. He'll just make everyone think that He split the moon, and He'll make everyone think that He did a miracle when He actually didn't. That's actually more the style of the great God Allah. So that, AP, I think, is the greatest defense that Muslims can do. Allah was showing what a great trickster He is once again.
But better than that, always, it was night, of course, and people were asleep. That's why we don't have any other sources.
But if they'd been awake, they could have seen the illusion too.
By the way, Islam Critiqued is here. Islam Critiqued also has a very good channel, very good content on debunking Islam, on pointing out the absolute wickedness and lack of reason in Islam. If you want to follow more content on analyzing and deconstructing Islam, make sure to follow Islam Critiqued YouTube channel as well.
Oh, but yeah, and Islam Critique. Yeah, anytime you want to go live again, open invitation on my channel. I was just talking to Anthony Rogers last night when we were recording some videos, and I was saying, isn't this awesome? I mean, years ago there was just no one really responding to Islam, and now you got these other guys coming along. AP a couple of years ago, Islam Critique more recently, and they're just wrecking Islam. And they're kind of going after different issues. And so what's it gonna be like 4 or 5 years from now? I mean, is there gonna be like 50 or 100 dudes who are online who are on YouTube just completely wrecking Islam? So, wow. I hope Fareed's got a lot of free time, because he's gonna have a lot to respond to once people start going through these sources.
All right. Let me move on. Stefan Milojevic made a super chat. Stefan Milojevic, thank you so much for your super chat. He said, "Did you hear of Muhammad al-Halabi, the great logical fallacy hunter? The guy literally uses philosophy for defending the 7th century desert book." I didn't hear. No.
Nope.
Interesting. Interesting. I'll have a look. Moving on. Exodus 21:20 said again in another super chat. Thank you so much. Why didn't the all-knowing Allah split the moon for long enough that people actually saw it? I don't know. That's a question that you again have to direct to Fareed. But it is so ridiculous. And how long would it have to take for the moon to come apart and come together again for people to see it? You know,
I mean, really think about this, AP. Think about this, AP. This is supposed to be the miracle, right? So think about this. Anyone could do this, right? I could come out tomorrow and say, guys, I just split the moon. Too bad you all were asleep. I just split the moon. God gave me this miracle, and no one else can verify it until a couple hundred years goes by. And but it happened. It happened. And they actually defend this as a miracle of the Quran. This is wild stuff.
This is the nature of the miracles of Islam, and I keep saying that the moon splitting is the only miracle that Islam actually has. That's the only miracle that actually exists, because that's the only thing that actually that can actually be called a miracle, and that single miracle that could be called a miracle is so ludicrous. It doesn't make any sense. It is absolutely stupid. And if you look at other miracles, Muslims even call Muhammad flying on the back of a horse to Jerusalem and then to heaven, they call that a miracle too. That is a miracle too. And guess what? According to Islamic stories, no one witnessed that.
Mm-hmm.
That happened.
And, in fact, he never left his bed. So it's so best case scenario, it's some sort of vision or dream.
Yeah.
And so, yep, it's a miracle. Now, notice anyone can do that, right? I can say, guys, oh man, I was in bed last night and I was magically transported on some magic donkey and taken to Jerusalem, and now it's mine. Now the whole place is mine. Gotta build a temple there, right? This is the best that they've got. It's like shocking.
So the hadith, I mean, seriously, pay attention to this. The hadith literally say that this is what happened in reality. Muhammad was asleep. He was in his bed. And a few minutes later, he woke up. And then he went out to his people afterwards, or in the morning, he went out to his people and told them that an angel came to him, that his heart was opened and washed, that he was that a flying horse came to pick him up, or a flying mule, whatever, and he flew to Jerusalem and he flew to heaven and back. But in reality, what really happened, what physically happened, that's what the hadith describe, is that he was in his bed for a few minutes, and he thinks that he flew to heaven on a horse, and that is called a miracle. That is Islam's standard of what a miracle is. Mm-hmm. Muhammad imagined that he flew to heaven on a flying horse.
Yeah, Ibn Asaq, for anyone who wants to check this out, Ibn Asaq, Surat Rasulullah, page 183. One of Abu Bakr's family told me that Aisha, the Prophet's wife, used to say, the apostle's body remained where it was, but God removed his spirit by night, right? So his body was there, and Allah took his spirit on the journey. So,
yeah.
So notice, anyone could say that, right? Anyone could come out and say, "Yep, my body was there the whole night, but God took my spirit out there." Yeah, I mean, and just think about this, right? My wife woke me up today, and I had a dream that I was in a mental hospital. I don't remember if I was like a patient there or if I was like working there. I don't know, because I couldn't remember. I was woke me up. I was like, I was just in a mental hospital doing something, and there was a crazy person there. Now I could say, oh, wow, God transported my spirit into a mental hospital by night. Let me go claim the nearest mental hospital. It's mine. God transported me there. Everyone would think that's the stupidest thing they've ever heard. Muhammad, his body's there. He has some, best case scenario, he has some dream or vision about, going to Jerusalem and all these things happening and flying on a magic donkey. But he comes out of it and Allah took my spirit. And then it's a miracle of Islam. It's a miracle of Islam. No one can verify it, but it happened. So
it happened. It happened. You have to believe it. And that's also where Muhammad haggled with Allah. By the way, he went there and Allah said, "Tell your people to pray 50 times a day." Mm-hmm. And Muhammad was like, "Okay." So he left the room, and then on his way, Moses was there, and Moses was like, "So what did Allah want?" He wants me to tell my followers to pray 50 times a day. And Moses goes like, "Are you kidding me? They cannot do that. Go back and ask him to decrease that."
Yeah, you moron, get back up there.
Negotiate.
Negotiate. I mean, you think
with Allah.
You think that just because Islam means submission, you're supposed to submit to whatever Allah says? No. You got to debate. Talk him down, man. Got to talk him down.
So then Muhammad thinks, "Oh yeah, well, I guess you're right." So he goes back into the room and goes to Allah and says, "Allah, I don't think my people can pray 50 times. So can we please lessen the burden?" And Allah says, "Okay, make it 45." And then Muhammad thinks, "Okay." So he leaves the room, and on his way out, Moses says, "So what happened?" He says, "Well, he said 45." And he was like, 45 doesn't work. Go back in there. And he thinks, okay. So he goes back in there and tells Allah, dear Allah, 45 wouldn't work. My people can't do that. And Allah says, make it 40. And Muhammad goes, okay. So Muhammad leaves the room again. And on his way, Moses says, so what did Allah say? And so on. Anyways, the story goes on like that until they finally come to 5 prayers. At 5 prayers, Muhammad again does something very surprising and says, okay. And then and from then on, his people are ordered to pray 5 times a day. And that's how Muhammad came up with the number 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Muhammad came to the number 5 daily prayers. That's how it happened. Muhammad went in there and negotiated with Allah, and Allah finally made up his mind and thought, oh, my dear Prophet Muhammad, you are right. I couldn't have thought of that before. These people can never pray 50 times a day. Of course, let's let them pray 5 times a day. That makes sense. That's why I love you so much, my dear Prophet. I'm pretty stupid. Anyways,
pretty good.
Let's go into the next super chat. Oh, do you want to respond to something?
Oh, there's a super chat from Wows, who said, Allah is like Loki, the great trickster. For years, I've been planning a video like Allah versus Loki, who's the greatest deceiver. Never actually made it, but yeah, that's in the works. I'll eventually make it. It's cool because I can actually use like video clips from the Marvel movies and compare them with things that the Muslim sources say, and do it that way.
Yeah. That's a good idea. I endorse this idea. All right. Kevin SAG made a super chat, didn't add anything to it. Kevin, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Exodus 21v20 made another super chat. How many super chats do you make? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Said, David believes the sun stopped in the sky to allow Israel to slaughter the enemies, according to the Bible, and no one else saw it. David, what are you going to say about that?
I mean, well, just to point out, there are some different interpretations of that, but even if you go completely literal interpretation, yeah, you're kind of in a different realm of history. You're not talking 7th century AD. You're talking about what's the date? 14th century BC. So yeah, but I mean, I don't consider it. It's not the sort of thing that's being used to verify something. You know what I mean? Like, I've never heard a Christian say, we know that Christianity is true because of the miracle of the sun stopping in the sky or something like that. Again, there are different interpretations of that. But with Islam, it's the challenge. Hey, where's the miracle? And the entire response to the claim that Muhammad couldn't perform miracles is this, right? It's this great miracle of the moon splitting and things like that. So plays a completely different kind of role. And again, if Muslims wanted to say, hey, there are different interpretations of this, and one is that it's a sign of the end times or something like that, I don't have any problem with that. It's, if you're saying this is what happened, yeah, we're kind of God's doing this as a kind of confirmation, then we're looking for a bit more evidence here.
All right.
So anyway, point being, if you wanted to say, hey, what's the miracle that Christians actually use? It's the resurrection. And even there, if you just had kind of one witness, I told you I believe in miracles. So if there were just one witness or something like that, I'd be like, maybe, or something like that. But yeah, the list was about up to over 500 men who witnessed it, and so it's kind of in a different category with than what we find in Islam.
Maybe that's something we can debate among us. I don't know.
The resurrection? Yeah, that'd be a good future topic.
I don't really think I want to go into debating specific religion. I would rather go into debating the idea of God.
Just God. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't really like going into the whole religion things. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Let's see how it goes. What happens. So that is David's response to the sun stopping in the sky to allow Israel to slaughter the enemies according to the Bible. Exodus 24v20. Thomas Garcia said in a super chat, thank you so much, Thomas Garcia. Have you guys seen The Dictator? The main character behaves like a toxic man-child. I knew where this is going. He reminds me of a certain prophet of a certain religion. Have you seen the movie Dictator?
That one with Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yeah.
No, I've seen some clips of it on.
It is so stupid.
I've seen some clips on YouTube, and one of the ones is they take a helicopter tour, and they're talking about the new Porsche 911, and so there's these two guys, and they start talking about 911, but they're talking in this fake language, and so this family's just terrified that these guys, they keep hearing these guys sitting across from them chatting in this weird language about 9/11.
Yeah. I saw the movie. It's one of the absurdest movies that I've seen in terms of comedy. But that's how Sacha Baron Cohen makes his comedy. Yeah. I even wanted to watch it later, like years later. I wanted to watch it together with my wife, and then we turned it on and we watched it for like 10 minutes. And then I thought, this is pretty ridiculous. I don't know why I watched this movie back then. Okay, Mr. 762 said, "Thank you, Supreme Leader David Wood. No, thank you, Supreme Leader Dr. Wood. Aloha snack bar." That goes to you. Well, thank you, Mr. 762. Emily A made a super chat and said, "Yes, that's what I meant. Speaking from experience." Oh yeah, this is referring to the earlier question about interviewing people who converted to Islam and then left Islam. I'll definitely think about that and look into getting some people onto this platform to let them speak as part of the.
And by the way, that's. Isn't that like most people who convert to Islam?
Yeah.
I remember the statistic like from 10 years ago. This was in a Muslim, a Muslim pamphlet that was being passed around on doing something about all the converts who were leaving Islam. But it was saying, I think it was like 60% after 2 years. Within 2 years, about 60% of converts leave Islam. And what was amazing is this is the same. This is around the same time that everyone's running around saying no one has ever left Islam, and anyone who says he's left Islam is a liar. And in the meantime, Muslims behind the scenes are passing around. They're saying, "Hey guys, studies show that around 60% of people who convert to Islam leave it within 2 years. So we need to do something here to stop this." So, yeah, there's no shortage of people who've converted to Islam, and then they heard all these things about how good it is, and then they find out it's not all it's cracked up to be, or they actually bother studying or something like this and find out it's a bunch of nonsense, and so they leave it. Now the tricky part is most of those people just say, "Okay, I'm done with that," and they go on with their lives. They're not becoming like AP's in a different category. He actually starts talking about it a lot. So it's basically finding the ones who actually want to talk about it and discuss their experiences, because it's actually really important to find for converts to kind of tell their stories, how they became convinced that Islam is true, why they converted, what made them start doubting it, why they left, and stuff like that, because a lot of people are going to face the same kinds of things. And so it's important to hear those stories.
Yeah. I was doubting the number. I thought it was 75%, but I can confirm that. The study is that in America, it is Muslim research has found that in America, 75% of people who convert to Islam leave Islam within a few years.
Where was that?
75% of people who convert to Islam in America. Wait, isn't it? I don't know. I have to look at the actual source, but that's about what it is.
You said within 5 years?
I don't know how many years. I just know within a few years.
Yeah, because that would kind of fit in with the other statistic that was like 60% within 2 years. But that was like 10. That was about 10 years ago. So, oh, you got a super chat from Sid Dave here. Sid Dave said, "Have you guys seen Mad Max Fury Road?" I'll go ahead and ask the question before finishing the question. Have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
I haven't, no.
Okay, he says, always thought that the villain, Immortan Joe, I think they said Immortan Joe. Immortan Joe was the closest description of Muhammad in Hollywood. He also had multiple wives, mad followers, willing to die. Well, Sid Dave, just so you know, Mad Max Fury Road is my favorite movie of all time. I don't think it's anyone else's favorite movie, but I kind of I like movies that are like awesome, epic visual spectacles and don't have to say a lot to tell a story. I always think if you can make a movie like that that's just visual and I don't get bored for even 1 second, then you've done some amazing work. And what I really like about those is, it's this post. I actually wrote a blog article about that right after the movie came out. It's probably still on my blog, but it was that guy. What's his name? Frank something or Miller or something like. Anyway, that guy, he actually started making movies. The guy who wrote the movie, he actually started making movies. He was like an emergency room doctor, and he would always see people coming in these horrible accidents, and he starts just thinking about the accidents that they got in and stuff, and then invents this and future dystopic world. But what I really thought was awesome is just how outside of the box this guy was in thinking about what, when society actually breaks down, what happens. And Fury Road, he took that thing to another level. But we're just talking about Allah versus Loki. We might need to find all these characters, because you're right. Immortan Joe is very similar to Muhammad. And the idea is, if you take a guy in a position, put him in a position where he can get away with it, and where he can sort of get people to mindlessly obey him, as Immortan Joe did, right? He would say, people are going to Valhalla with him, and he would make a promise. Hey, if you do this for me, I will personally carry you into Valhalla. And he would make promises like that. But has all these, and you're exactly right. He ended up with this harem of women or wives or whatever it was. But there could be a series here of like Muhammad versus Immortan Joe, and Muhammad versus, and just go with any of these characters and start drawing the comparisons. It's too might do well. I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't see that movie. Maybe I should watch it sometime.
There's this scene where these guys decide to go out with their war party, and they this is the moment I realized, this is going to be a movie I really like. But they sort of come up the visual. They didn't use lots of they didn't use like CGI and stuff like that. It was all like old school special effects. But they've got these guys, all these vehicles riding out, and on the back of the truck, they've got these drummers beating out a drum beat, just like an old school, back in the day when you had a drummer and everyone follows the drummer, but they have it on vehicles, and they're hammering on these drums. And then the camera circles around to the front of the truck with the drums on it. And there's this mutant looking dude with this guitar, and he's rocking out a beat. And then I was like, this is going to be awesome. And as soon as I thought that, he hits it, and then flames shoot out of his guitar. And I was like, all right, this is exactly my kind of movie. So I don't know what kind of movies you like, AP, but
one of my favorite movies is The Man from Earth. People should watch it. It's a very thought-provoking movie. It's quite a little bit about belief, though. So if you want to see stuff that I like,
you're probably like, I like Camus or
what?
Camus, that weird writer who wrote the story about the guy transforming into a cockroach or something like that. No. It sounds like something, The Man from Earth or something like that.
No, it's actually a very very thought-provoking movie. It's pretty good.
Is that sci-fi, or is that some sort of German European?
No, it is a sci-fi movie, like a drama. It's a sci-fi movie. It's basically about this man who gathers his friends around him in a house. The entire movie goes on in this one room. They are in this place. They're supposed to be picked up. This guy is supposed to move out. The main character of the movie, who is the man from Earth, and he starts telling people about his story. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but the whole movie is basically just them sitting there and talking, which might sound very boring to some people, but it's actually very.
That's my I have similar thoughts on that I do. If you can make an entire movie that's a visual spectacle, If you can make an entire movie out of two people talking and it's not boring, I'm impressed by that. There was like an episode of Daredevil, the TV show on Netflix, where the Punisher is just telling a story, and like almost the whole episode is just him sitting on the ground telling what happened as he's bleeding. And I realized, gosh, they just had him just talk for the entire episode, and it was totally awesome. So I'm impressed when people pull that off. 2007 American drama science fiction film. All right, you got the right words there. American, and science fiction. If it had been The Man from Earth, the 2007 German film noir movie inspired by Camus, I'd be like, what the heck is AP into?
Oh, my wife is here trying to list movies that I like, because she knows very well that I'm not very good coming up with listing things that I actually like. So she does it for me. She said here, The Man from Earth immediately, I think before I said it. And she also said The Time Machine from 1960. That's actually a movie that I like. I meanwhile find it quite ridiculous. I think the plot is very stupid, and it's also based on a very dumb book. Which maybe was in the time it was written by H.G. Wells, was probably quite smart, but is not anymore. It's also kind of communist propaganda, but I still like watching it sometimes. I still like sitting down and watching it. I have other things that I like too. Like I love Kill Bill. I think Kill Bill is one of my favorite movies because of the messages it gives and the artistic nature of the movie. And I also like A Clockwork Orange. That's kind of messed up, I know. And that's maybe where we should end the whole issue now. Yeah. All right, let me go into further super chats. Wow's said, Allah is like Loki the Great Trickster. Oh, you responded to that earlier. Chad Parsons said, are you ever going for the low-hanging fruit, the bad verses? I think we do sometimes. Right? I want to actually make a thing. I want to make a video soon, which is something like 10 Quran verses everyone should know, or 10 Quran verses every non-Muslim should know. I think you made things like 3 Quran verses every Christian should know. Yep. So
it's a good way to package content. For some reason, you put you make your titles like that. 10 of these. If you're giving people a list, long list or short list or something like that, then it creates a list it creates a need to know what's on the list, right? Especially like what's number 1 and stuff like that. I'm about to make here in the next day or two top 10 myths Muslims believe about Islam. Going to go down the list, right? The myths Muslims believe about Islam: that the Quran contains scientific miracles, that Islam promotes women's rights, that Islam's a religion of peace, that the Quran has been perfectly preserved, and things like that. And just go down the list, show very quickly that these claims are false. And hey, why is Islam based on a foundation of complete myths?
Okay. Gerard Perry said, no, Apostate Prophet, no, H.G. Wells was always awful. Okay. In reference to what I said earlier.
Yeah, I never saw the 1960 version. I read the book, and then I saw, I think there probably been multiple remakes, but I saw the remake with Guy Pearce. I thought it was okay.
You mean the early, what was that? The early 2000s thing?
Yeah, probably. I don't know, 2000,
that was
2003, 2004.
That was a horrible movie, I thought.
Really?
I don't know. I thought it was a terrible movie.
I thought it was okay. It's not exactly my kind of movie, but I thought it was okay.
Yeah, maybe it's because I'm biased because I watched the 1960 one and I thought it was very nice, and then I saw that and I was
look. There are people putting horrible stuff. Look, Bronte Bond said Porky's. You know what's messed up, Bronte? I have no idea, but I watched Porky's like 8 times when I was 6 years old, and I have I to this day I watched that a bunch of times. I watched Friday the 13th Part 2. I had it on tape. I don't know why I don't know why it was okay in my family for a 6-year-old to watch slasher films and Porky's, but different kind different kind of family. I was saying that I said that to Nabil once. I said, you know, it's weird, man. I think back to when I was 7 years old, and I remember being out in the middle of the night riding my bike, trying to figure out how to get home at 7 o'clock. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I wouldn't let my kids, you know, at 10 and 12 out in the middle of the night by themselves. I don't know. And Nabil just goes, well, I guess you just had a different kind of a childhood. And so, yeah. But
that's a lot of messed up stuff.
Yeah, it'll work out.
My wife said here, this is a true story. Mrs. Apostate said, when I first met AP, he told me to watch a Clockwork Orange because it was one of his favorite movies. I watched it on my own and thought, what is wrong with this man?
That's a weird movie to say, hey, watch this.
I have this thing, like I share a lot of things that I used to share a lot of stuff that I like movies and music, and I shared that, and later I thought, what kind of a dumb idea is that to share that with my, with her as a thing to watch.
Oh, hang on. Liza J said, "What were you doing out so late?" And someone asked for the story. I actually remember I went to an outdoor party. I rode my bike to an outdoor party with older kids. So these were like 15, 16 year olds. And they had a bunch of beer. And I said I wanted a beer. And the sort of leader there said, you can split one with me. And I go, no, I want my own. And he said, no, I'll just share one with me. And I go, no, I'm leaving. And then so I just remember sort of riding my bike home and trying to find my way home out in the middle of nowhere at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the night. And what was crazy is I never thought about how weird that was until years later when I have kids and I'm thinking, and they're like, oh, what time do we need to be back? And I'm like, oh, you better be back by such and such time. And I'm thinking, wow, they were way older than I was. And I certainly, even now, I don't want them out in the middle of the night. And so anyway, I started realizing how screwed up my childhood was.
All right. Okay. This is getting very messed up. Lisa J made a super sticker, fist bump. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you for being here. Sid Dave, you already responded to that. That was about Mad Max. That's how we went down this hill. Emily A said in a super chat, funny, left after 2 years. Convert, learn, and leave. LOL. Yeah. That's how it basically goes. I think I sometimes look at some converts to Islam. There are some people who convert to Islam and who clearly are not very terrible people, but and they weren't terrible people before. It's very clear. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of them had problems, whatever. They convert to Islam and they suddenly start defending these most awful things in a religion, and I can kind of understand that, because when you start adopting this new worldview, you get very fanatical about it. You get very very zealous about it and want to live it to the fullest and defend it to the fullest, and then you end up defending child marriage, of course, and stuff like that. But I feel like sometimes when I look at these people, some of them really notice that there is something terribly wrong with Islam, and they think of getting out. They think of not believing in it anymore. But then it's also not really an option, because once you convert to Islam, that is a huge declaration that you make, especially to other people that you surround yourself with who witness that you converted to Islam, and then you just get sucked into it, and there is no way out anymore.
Yeah, I mean, especially because I mean, it can happen, with men and women, but you convert and then you end up getting married to a Muslim woman, and now you and your family and your kids are all going to the mosque and stuff like that. So it's difficult enough for a man there, but I've seen over and over again the women who have the problem, right? Because now your husband is, you converted to Islam, you married a Muslim man. Now you have multiple kids, and it's just massively difficult to just say, "Hey, I'm leaving this religion," and I'm going to raise the kids how I want and stuff like that. It's just huge, massively difficult. But yeah, along the lines of what you said about people who end up defending stuff. This was back before I was doing YouTube, when I was mainly like writing blog articles and stuff like that, and articles for Answering Islam. But I would write stuff about wife beating in Islam. And what was disturbing was my email was there, so if people wanted to respond to me, but people would actually send me responses. But it was usually women sending me, Muslim women sending me messages defending it, right? They would say, we can get hysterical, and sometimes our husbands just need to, help us stop being so emotional by, giving us a slap or something like that. I was like, serious? You converted to this? So now you're defending it. Now you're sending me messages defending wife beating. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I received I saw a message, an email only yesterday, which I don't know. It makes me sad. I get these so often, especially from women. Women send me emails saying that they converted to Islam a few years ago. Now they are married to a Muslim man, but they have doubts, and they don't believe in Islam anymore. And they are sad. They are desperate. They don't know what to do about the situation. And they ask me for advice on what to do. And I sit here and I think that is a messed up situation to be in. And I don't even properly understand what I'm supposed to say, what I could possibly say to such a person, to someone who genuinely questions and doesn't believe anymore, but is now stuck with a Muslim man or a Muslim woman with a Muslim family. This email was telling me yesterday that this person converted to Islam several years ago and is now admittedly a Muslim, but has so many doubts and almost doesn't believe in it anymore. But they have also been married for 4 years, apparently immediately after they converted to a Muslim, and now they have no idea what to do in the situation. And I sit here thinking, people don't convert to Islam, especially women. Women don't convert to Islam. This reminds me of a video that I wanted to make long ago, which should exactly have that title: "Women don't convert to Islam." Don't do it. Don't do it. This is what you end up with. I've seen it myself. I've witnessed it myself. I've witnessed myself people convert to Islam, or just get married to a Muslim man, thinking everything will be fine, and then they find themselves in deep crap and don't know how to get out of the situation.
Hey! I just got an awesome idea for a video. This could be a collaboration. We should both put stuff in here, but a video titled "Before You Convert to Islam, Watch This." And because I'm assuming people might be looking up, what to do before converting to Islam or something like this. And then if they see "Before You Convert to Islam, Watch This," maybe some of them will click on it. We'll explain, hey, so you're about to convert to Islam, eh? Here are some things that the people preaching Islam to you didn't bother to tell you. And then we can just fire off the facts.
That's an awesome idea, by the way. We should both do that.
I am a giant bucket of awesome ideas.
Watch this before you convert to Islam. Okay, that's an amazing idea. I'll go into that. All right, going on. Babette Thompson. I don't know how to say that name. Babette Thompson. Is that even a real name? I don't know. Thank you so much. Made a super sticker, said #1 fan. See, now I don't know how to pronounce my #1 fan's name. And that's pretty bad. It's pretty embarrassing. So if you want to clarify that, please do that. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Lisa J made another super sticker. You are very active, Lisa, today. Thank you. And said, thanks for being you in a super sticker. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I think she's talking to me.
I'm pretty sure it's about me. I don't think you should take everything very personally here. Coptic State just became a member, became a prophet, and now has a prophet head next to their face and can now use these amazing, fantastic momojis. Let me share one of those very good ones. Here's the angry one. It's called Momo Mad. If you become a prophet, if you become a member of the channel, you can use these momojis and express in Muhammad's appearance how mad you are or how funny you find the situation.
Oh yeah, let me try that. This one's got sunglasses on.
Yeah. So you're doing it?
Look, Liza J said David. So that she's clearly saying she was talking to me with the thanks for being you super sticker.
Yeah, that's that. I doubt that. I would also like to go on right now. Thank you. Sai. I strongly believe this is a Muslim commenter. Said this too psychopath will destroy Islam. What do you think about this, David?
I object to you being called a psychopath.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm not a psychopath. I'm the opposite. But I find it pretty cool that that David calls himself a psychopath or is a psychopath. I might have something to offer too. I have anxiety. I have an anxiety disorder, so that is what makes me cool. But
you know what's funny? It's psychopaths don't like people like trying to control them or manipulate them and things like that. So that's kind of like, so for years I never said anything to anyone, right? Like my wife knew and my family knew and they knew about my background and all that. But it was I had a debate years ago. It was in the UK, and it was why we converted, because it was a guy who converted to Islam, and then it was why I had converted to Christianity. And it was like our personal stories. Our opening statements were supposed to be our personal stories. So I went ahead and shared my story. I never posted the debate anywhere because I wasn't interested in sharing my story. I shared it in that particular place. But then for the next several years, Muslims went around saying, David bashed his dad's head in, things like that. And of course, they would exaggerate it. They would say David killed his dad and stuff like that. And they would say all these things. And then at a certain time, an atheist named John Loftus, he was saying, I want to know what kind of atheist David Wood was. I keep hearing about these atheists who convert to Christianity. Why didn't he share his story so we can judge how serious an atheist he was? So I went ahead and made that video. Thinking, okay, now let me just get my story out there, because you got Muslims going around saying all these things. And then people are sending me messages going, David, is it true? You got all these Muslims saying that you murdered your dad and stuff like that. So they're sending me all these messages and stuff like that. And I would sometimes just kind of beat around the bush and go, if I had murdered my dad, would I be here right now and not in jail? Things like that. So pointing out that it's actually false, but not actually given the whole story. So I finally made the whole story and posted it. And then people from watching it, they're going, this dude sounds like a psychopath, or this dude sounds like a sociopath. And so people started just saying that, this don't listen to this guy, he's a psychopath. Don't listen to this guy, he's a sociopath, things like that. When, I was actually diagnosed with that, right? I was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder when I was 18 years old. But it's more a sense of, hey, if people are going to use something as an attack against you, if it's true, just own it, right? Own it. And talk about it freely and say, you're darn right, that's what I am. And then what happens? Where they got no power over you, right? So anyway, that's why I had no interest in running around saying, guys, I'm a psychopath. But if you're gonna use that as an attack, I don't like things being used against me in attacks if they're true. And so I'll just own that. So if you got something to say about me that's true, I will shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah, that's how it should be. Someone asked, are you going to continue your channel? I think you're referring to the Turkish channel. I have a Turkish channel now for all those who want to support the work, or for all the Turkish-speaking people who have always asked. It is called Apostate Prophet Türkçe, which means Turkish in Turkish, and that's where I have so far published 2 videos. One of which is basically an appeal to Turks to leave Islam. It's called Leave Islam, in which I basically summarize why I want people to leave Islam. Most importantly, because Turkish Muslims don't really understand what Islam is about and what it actually is. And the second video was about, what was the second video about? I totally forgot it already. It was about the same issue that I talk about so much now in English, that Islam got Allah's name wrong. That Allah's name is supposed to be Yahweh, like in Abrahamic religion, like in biblical scripture, like in Jewish and Christian belief, and that it is Allah in Islam, and that Muslims think Jews and Christians believe in Allah too, but they clearly don't. That's what the second video is about. I'm going to continue talking about the moon splitting and about many more other issues. So I'm definitely going to continue that. But thank you for that question.
Hey, the scammers here says, Dr. David Wood, God bless you. This link for a video for a lady named Tanya left Islam after she saw your videos, and she spoke about your advice to leave Islam. So apparently a woman named Tanya left Islam after watching the videos and is talking about it. I don't see a link there, scammers. So if you got a link, I'll check it out. Interested
That's
in
awesome.
seeing what she had to say.
That's awesome. That's very good news. That's very good news. Spoke about your ad. Oh yeah, I see it here. Okay, awesome. That's amazing. All right, I think we should be wrapping it up here slowly. I don't know if you want to add any more things. If you see anything more, if you want to respond to anything here. We're almost at 2 hours. We always think we're gonna do about an hour or so.
Yeah, it never works.
Yeah. Never works. I'm telling my wife. I tell my wife, okay, I'll be done in about an hour, and she's like, "No, you won't." I know.
Yeah. So guys, everyone. So the verses there. The verses in AP's thumbnail is about a debate that we'll have once we reach some channel milestones that are coming up very shortly. So if you want to hurry that debate along, go ahead and subscribe to AP's channel if you're not already subscribed, and go tell all your friends to subscribe, because as soon as he hits 200,000, I'll most likely be at 100 million right around the same time, and we will do our debate.
Yep. So for all those who missed it, that was the point of the whole story. We're going to have a debate, David Wood and I. We're going to make it very unconventional. We're going to make a new format of a debate, which will be very nice. I will post. David will make a very detailed opening argument on his channel. I will make my opening argument on my channel. I will make the responses again on each channel. It will be a huge debate that people can follow and always see back and forth. Maybe after we are done, we can put everything together and make a big stream about evaluating the whole situation. Our topic will be morality, where morality comes from, where it is supposed to come from, what morality is about, whether it comes from a divine being or whether it is a human, just a human way how we deal with each other. And that will come quite soon. It will be huge. It will be great. I can't wait. It will be amazing.
And we're going to set a good example for people.
Exactly. We're going to have a debate between two people with differences, with major differences. Actually, it's a huge difference. It's it's my worldview versus his entire worldview. That's what the debate will be about, and we will make it in a great way, respectfully, nicely. Not like Muslim apologists do, where they think, oh, of course I'm going to have a nice debate with you, and then they come and talk about your family and your friends and your name and your history and all that stuff. No, we're going to stay on topic and we'll have a great debate. And of course, in the end, Apostate Prophet will, of course, unfortunately, have the upper hand, and will be victorious and will have his point proven. David Wood will unfortunately depart the debate with a loss for his point of view, for his arguments, for his assertions. And yeah,
just be aware. Just be aware, Apostate Prophet. If you just destroy the only foundation of morality that I know, that I am a psychopath, and all the people I end up brutally murdering, you'll kind of be responsible for them. So keep that in mind while you're putting together your videos.
I have thought about it. I have thought about that. I thought, there is a reason you are, believing that this morality comes from God, and that there is, that holds everything together, is actually good for you and for as you said before. So maybe I should be careful with this whole thing. I don't know. I might just keep the best arguments to myself.
Or you can just, you could just say, hey, whatever, this is true, and you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, and so if a bunch of people have to die, they just have to die.
Well, that's how it goes. We have to make sacrifices. Okay, Brew, I just realized that Allah had an Instagram account. Okay. Matthew Kennedy said, my money is on Apostate Prophet. I would say my money is on both of us. I would really seriously take a moment and say that the best thing that I think that would come from this debate is that it's not about who wins and who is victorious, not about playing to the crowd. It's about actually sitting down and making a very good exchange of our perspectives, of our arguments and worldviews.
Yeah, really. The goal here is, especially with the format we're choosing, where we actually, take time to make our videos and take time to carefully think about everything the other person is saying, so that everything can be perfectly accurate. Is it will be good just to have, whatever it is, whatever it ends up being in total, 2 to 3 hour thing, where someone can sit down and know that they are just getting sort of the best of, the best case each side can make. And, because the goal is really to help people make an informed decision, right? Lots of people are making ill-informed decisions, right? They're fed a bunch of nonsense, they're fed a bunch of stupid ideas, and then they make their decision based on believing a bunch of total nonsense. And so it's good if people say, okay, now I understand the arguments on this side, I understand the arguments on that side, I understand everything they said, I understand the responses to the other person's arguments, and now I can decide that David Wood is right.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome. Someone said, what the name of Apostate Prophet channel owner? My name is Radvan Aydemir. Okay, the highlight of today's live stream was that Muhammad, that there was apparently a moon splitting according to Islam, and that is the only miracle that Islam has to present. But unfortunately, the moon splitting is definitely not true, because if the moon had split in two, then the entire known world would have witnessed it and would have recorded that. And the Islamic apologetic argument to that is that people just didn't witness it because it was, of course, at night and people were asleep. That's the highlight of today's live stream. And by the way, while Muhammad was there observing the moon splitting in two, he was also covered in semen. That is also an important detail of this story. Other than that, I want to wrap it up here.
That would be a cool video. We dress vocab up, and he said, Aisha, I have to go out and split the moon. Well, no, this would have been a Meccan time. This would have been before that. Okay. Well, maybe it was the same back then. Khadija, I have to go out and split the moon. Wow. Get all that semen off you before.
All right. Okay. That's all. Do you have anything else to say, David?
Nope. Yeah, I'll say TikTok time to go.
TikTok time to go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like the stream. If you use the like button, it always helps boost the stream. That's how you can help. Thanks for all the super chats, for all the participation, for all the comments, for being here. Thank you all so much. Have a fantastic day. And as always, do you want to say it, David?
Stay away from Islam.
You heard it. Stay away from Islam.